Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what's happening in Iran and all the latest news coming out of Iran, also around the rest of the world. I'll be talking about some Indian ships being blown up and some Indians dying as a result. So I'll be talking about that as well. So stay tuned, guys. Before I start, don't forget to check out my new channel. The link is on my description. It's called Multipolar World Order. So make sure you go there and check out some of the videos. There's a lot of videos there that's not here. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's start with the show. So this image probably sums it up about what's been happening with markets lately. So this is pretty much it. Trump is attacking Iran. Then he stops attacking Iran. Then he's attacking Iran again. And he's not attacking Iran again. And again, he's got a peace deal, he's not got a peace deal, he's got a peace deal, and he's not got a peace deal. So this is the 37th or 38th time, or is it the 39th time that he announced there's a deal with Iran. And this is the 39th time he said there's a peace deal, the war is over. It's also the 39th time that he said the United States has won and Iran has no military left. So, does anyone still believe this guy? The markets do, because the markets are still going up and down based on what he says. So, obviously, the markets believe this guy, but the market is stupid, guys. That's why you can never win on the market because it's just run by stupid people. They believe whatever tweets that come out, whatever news that comes out, whatever fake report that comes out. You know, you can have a fake jobs report and the market will just shoot up, even though you know it's fake. So this is why the people who are in the markets, that run the markets, who are doing all the retail trading, they just literally have no brains. These bankers and stuff like that, they just go along with whatever you know whatever silly news that comes out. They don't do any logical thinking. So he's obviously panicking because the oil prices have been going up very high, and last 2 or 3 days, the stock market has been crashing. So he's obviously wants to stabilize that, and he's been making up stories about, oh, we're not going to attack Iran, and uh, and trying to manipulate the market. But there could be another reason, guys. It could be because Iran really hit hard against US bases yesterday. I know for a fact that they hit Jordan, they hit Kuwait, Bahrain, and they probably took a lot of damage. But I will probably restate my claim because I said yesterday that Iran cannot sit and wait for America to keep attacking them because this is not a winning strategy. If you're in a war, you cannot have just one side attacking, picking targets, and the other side just reacting because that's what it looks like. And Iran shouldn't agree to any ceasefire deal, guys. Because I tell you what, the Americans and the Israelis are not going to stop until Iran is under total control of the West. They are not going to stop. Because Iran has over 30 trillion in assets. You know, oil, gas, minerals, rare earths. 33 trillion, guys. And they are not going to allow, Iran to have full sovereignty over those minerals and assets. It's the same way the reason, they want to attack Russia and steal their assets. It's the same reason they want to attack China and steal their, mineral assets. And the riches. They don't want countries to have full sovereignty. And you've seen Trump basically bragging about how he stole Venezuelan oil. He's just bragging in front of everyone, saying we stole the oil, we stole the oil. And what are the Venezuelan people doing? Nothing. They let the Americans have the oil without firing a shot. How embarrassing is that? So yeah, they're not going to stop until they finish with Iran, guys. And this is why Iran should not agree to any ceasefire. Iran is actually got the advantage now. It's summer, it's very, very hot. So this climate suits the Iranians because they're used to the Iranian summer. But the West is not used to really hot summers like you have in the Middle East. So Iran has you know the perfect conditions to carry on. And also, Iran is in the driver's seat, guys, because America cannot afford to keep this war going. You have the World Cup happening in America. You have, you know, Trump's UFC fight going on. You have, all these economic issues that the United States is having. They cannot keep going on with this war. Iran needs to carry on fighting until these troops are driven out. And when Iran carries on fighting, they can pick the targets. They can pick American targets, radars, bases, start taking out aircraft, start taking out, hangars with the F-35s in them, or those, you remember those AWAC airplanes that they destroyed? They can keep doing that. They can keep, attacking American interests throughout the region until the Americans leave. This ceasefire thing only supports the West. It doesn't support Iran whatsoever. And they've been fooled many times, guys. I mean, look at Syria. Syria would still be, under the control of Assad today if he didn't agree to a ceasefire. Because I remember, back in the day when they tried to destroy Syria with the civil war, and Syria was fighting with Russia, with Iran, and they were driving out the ISIS, and the ISIS were holed up into Idlib. And I remember, they were about to go into Idlib and completely wipe them out. And Trump was in the White House at the time, and Trump immediately called Assad. He says, "Look, we want a ceasefire. We basically, you know, they want a ceasefire, we want a ceasefire, and we won't attack you. We will leave you alone, basically." So Assad stupidly agreed to a ceasefire. Even though he was in the driving seat, he should have just gone in and wiped them out. So he agreed to a ceasefire, and this allowed ISIS to, rearm, regroup. They started getting new tactics with drones and stuff, new weapons. They had huge amounts of new recruits. And then 10 years later, look what's happened. They drove all the way into Syria and took all of Syria within a few weeks. And Russia couldn't help them because Russia was busy with Ukraine. Back then, Russia wasn't busy with Ukraine. So back then, Russia could focus fully on protecting Syria. But now Russia was in Ukraine, and Russia couldn't really help Syrians. So that's what America wants. They want a ceasefire which suits them, and they will attack Iran at any moment when they regroup, rearm. Maybe they'll get the Kurds in next time. Maybe they'll get troops from Azerbaijan. They will do something within the next 5 or 10 years and restart the attack. Because do you really think Israel will allow Iran, to stay as it is? No way, they will not. And the only reason they want a ceasefire now is because they want to finish off Hezbollah. This is why Iran wants Lebanon to be part of the peace deal, because if they don't, Israel and America will go into Lebanon and take out Hezbollah. And once they take out Hezbollah, basically they'll come after Iran again. Because Hezbollah is a big problem for them at the moment, for America and for like Lebanon. I mean for Israel. So they want Iran out the picture for now, while they take out Hezbollah and they take most of South Lebanon. And once they achieve their goals in Lebanon, that's when they'll come after Iran again. And they've done the same thing with Palestine, with Gaza. Hamas was fighting, and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire, and that ceasefire doesn't really hold because Israel is still bombing them. Israel still withholds food. There's no reconstruction going on in Gaza. People are really suffering, and Israel still they're still bombing. They're still bombing Gaza and withholding food and stuff. So these ceasefires, they don't care about it. And Trump said himself, in that part of the world, ceasefire means attacking less. And you've seen the last few days, America can attack Iran at any moment. If Trump wakes up in a bad mood, or somebody releases something about the EP files, like yesterday, the New York Times released an article about Trump's involvement with the EP files, and that's probably why he attacked Iran. All he needs to do is just wake up in a bad mood. There's some bad press everywhere, and he'll just start attacking. And Iran cannot just sit there and keep taking attacks from United States, and not, because the attacker, or the first attacker, will always have the advantage, always, because the first attacker looks for all the targets, and they attack on their timetable. And Iran just, is basically reacting to the attack. And when you react to an attack, it's not the same thing as the first attack, where you have time and you have, all the resources you plan for all the defenses as well. But when you're reacting, you have to do things fast. You don't have time for all of that. So the first attacker always has an advantage. And this is why I don't think, Iran should let America or Israel rest in the region. I think they should just carry on attacking American bases and targets, and keep doing it until America runs out of money, runs out of patience. November elections are coming up, so this is the time for Iran to, keep going, because if Iran has a complete victory over Trump, that's over for Trump. After the November elections, it's over. He's gonna lose the midterms, and he's gonna be impeached. So it's Iran's interest to carry on going. So the latest news is the supreme leader has said no. There's no agreement, and also Iran's foreign minister says no as well. Well, obviously Trump's making it up, saying there's an agreement. There's an agreement for the 38th time or the 39th time. But Iran is saying no. But people forget that this agreement is not going to be that easy, because Iran wants Lebanon and Gaza to be part of the agreement, and Israel will never agree to that. Never. Even if they agree to it, they'll start bombing tomorrow. They'll start bombing Lebanon. They'll start bombing Gaza tomorrow, just to prove a point. You can guarantee it. That's why this ceasefire thing will never hold. And I hope Iran understands that. Is that a funny picture again? So yesterday was quite quite a story actually. Basically, what happened was a- after America started blowing up targets all over Iran, they also blew up three Indian ships. Three, not not one, not two, but three. Three Indian ships they blew up. They did not target ships going to China. They did not target ships going to Russia because that would start World War Three. And so what America did was they picked on a lesser target, which is India. Easy target, let's just say. And it's an easy target because India will do nothing or say nothing, and and you can see Modi here. He literally thanks President Trump after or just before the ships gets attacked. He goes, "Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for your warm wishes. I look forward to working with you for future advance India-US comprehensive, uh, you know, partnership." Then three Indian ships get destroyed and three Indian sailors killed, and not a word from Modi. Not one word. Not a word of condemnation from coming from India. Not one. They just sit there and take it. This is how weak the Indians have become. This is how weak. They just sit there and take it. When Trump gives them 50% tariffs, they just sit there and take it. Like good little guys. And now Trump destroys three Indian ships, kills Indian sailors, and India basically is quiet. They don't do anything. They don't say anything. They don't do anything because these are their white masters. If that was China that did it, you would see a different India. They would start, they would go crazy all over social media. They will start blocking all of Chinese apps. They will block all Chinese investments. They will cause all sorts of all sorts of mayhem all across social media. But because America did it, because Americans killed Indians, not a word, not one word. And then you got one particular guy here. His name is um, his name is Rajesh Sharma, and his son got killed. His son got killed in the ship, and he says, "I'm the father of one of the crew missing." And then somebody was checking his tweets, and this guy is not a good person. Guy, this is a very he's a very bad person because earlier on he sent this tweet. This was like last year or something, and he says, "I think Israel should ethnically cleanse whole of Gaza and make it into non-Muslim territory. This is the only solution to maintain peace." Then he says, "Kudos to Mossad and IDF." So this guy is advocating mass genocide, and then his son gets killed, and he sends his son to the Muslim country Oman because that's where he was working. So this one guy is advocating Muslims to be killed. He sends his son to work in Oman, which is a Muslim country, and his son gets killed by American fire. I mean, this is karma, guys. Karma works in mysterious ways. God works in mysterious ways. This is absolute karma. And yeah, the comment section weren't very pleased with him. Everyone's condemning him, saying this is what you get. If you are that kind of person, then this is exactly what you deserve. And I'm not saying all Indians are like this, but there are some who are like this, as you can see. But yeah, there's a lot of Indians who have been condemning him as well. So I'm not saying they're all like this. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of Muslims in India as well. Don't forget. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy, guys. But then because the Americans killed his son, again he says nothing. He says nothing about America. Because this guy is a Trump lover as well. He's a big mega supporter, big Trump supporter. He says when his son gets killed, he says nothing about Trump, about America. He says nothing. But if his son got killed by a Muslim country or China or Russia, watch him watch his language change. This is the problem with some Indians. This is the problem, guys. You know, they've still got the same colonial mindset. British colonized them for 200 years, and it's what you call Stockholm, syndrome, basically. And in a lot of Indian minds, they're still colonized in the back of their head. So it's one rule for their white masters and another rule for everyone else. So let's talk about the economy. So as you can see, two Japanese firms have shut down production because they don't have enough rare earths or minerals coming from China. So China has sanctioned Japan and reduced its rare earths exports to Japan because of Japan's provocative actions surrounding China in the seas. And you can see already two Japanese companies have shut down, and there could be more. There could be much more. And Trump had to call China and beg them to allow rare earths to be sent to Japan, and China refused. And I think it's, to be honest, guys, Japan cannot be allowed to rearm, and I think China realizes this. Japan is one of the fastest arming nations in the world. They have a huge military budget, and they are fast rearming themselves back to a world, military. And that is very, very dangerous because these guys, forget about the Hello Kitty and the cute little animes that they produce and all these cute little Japanese girls, forget all of that, guys. Deep down, they're still imperial in nature. And they're imperial in nature because Japan itself, is an island and there's no natural resources in Japan. It's in an earthquake zone, and they know this, and they will always have the mindset to expand. And I've read another story that Japan stole 600 tons of gold from China. 600 tons, guys. And I'm not joking. You're welcome to check some figures, but 600 tons of gold that China has been collecting since for 5,000 years. Basically, Japan stole it. And they used a lot of the gold for their imperial needs. They used that gold to basically, colonize and become Imperial Japan, pay for their military, pay for fighting America. They basically used that gold and sold that gold, Chinese gold, and they've never ever given that back, never. So they owe China 600 tons of gold, basically. I mean, just to give you that in perspective, at the moment, China has officially announced that they are around 230 tons they have got. So that's only one third of the amount, China has collected since 1950 because all the gold was stolen from China. You had the British and the French stealing lots of gold, and they burnt down the Summer Palace. You have Chiang Kai-shek and his followers stealing a lot of gold and treasure, and they ran away to the island of Taiwan. So China was pretty much left with nothing at the time. That's why China was so poor. And so two, 200, 230 tons that they have built was since 1950. So around, around, let's just say just over 100 years. But collecting 5,000 years worth of gold, it was around 600 tons. And America has around 800 tons. So you can imagine how much gold was stolen from China. And mostly was stolen from Japan. So Japan owes China a lot of gold, guys, a lot of money. And they still haven't paid any reparations for that war. So I always said that Japan is a major, major threat to China. They cannot allow Japan to rearm and become a big military, because you can guarantee Japan will come after China. You can guarantee it. And my biggest fear is Japan, doing some underground nuclear experiments and then announcing they're a nuclear power, just like that, because they have the capability, guys. They have nuclear power stations all across Japan. So they have the engineers, they have the capability to do it. Only reason they haven't done it is because they probably think America is protecting them with nuclear weapons. But one of these days, maybe if if the American economy collapses and the Americans' military collapses, and Japan feels that America cannot protect them anymore, you can guarantee that they will go nuclear within like days. Within days. So yeah, China cannot allow Japan to be militarized again, and blocking rare earths to Japan is a very, very good action for the meantime. This stops their tech companies from growing, and it stops military rare earths going into Japan's military. So I support this action, but China cannot be like the Qing dynasty and allow Japan to be militarized and let you know. And you know what Japan has done, basically, when they were underestimated. They cannot underestimate them. So let's talk about SpaceX. So you have the garbage company SpaceX, who make no revenue, by the way. Last quarter's revenue was minus 69 billion. They are losing money. But this IPO is going to be 1.8 to 1.9 trillion. And it's just going to be a pump and dump, as you can see from the picture. And it's going to make Elon into a trillionaire. I mean, one person becoming a trillionaire. I mean, Elon doesn't do anything for humanity, guys. He doesn't give his money to charity. He doesn't give his money to good causes. He doesn't use his money for good things for humanity around the world. He doesn't do anything like that. He just keeps it. And it's such a dangerous thing to let one man have $1 trillion, especially somebody like Elon. While everybody else in the world are struggling to make money, while these rich billionaires are just, you know, they're making all the money while all the middle class are suffering. Because of the capitalism, and capitalism favors the rich billionaires, and they squeeze the middle class. They squeeze the lower class. Everyone else has to pay taxes and work hard, while these rich billionaires are just getting richer and richer and richer. I don't see the difference on being a billionaire or being a trillionaire. I don't see the difference. I think if you are a billionaire, you can have a great life. You don't have to work. You can just spend your billion or billions for the rest of your life and enjoy your life. There's no reason to be a trillionaire. Where are you gonna spend your trillions on that you can't spend your billions on? Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.